Namaskar. I don't see smiling faces. I used to hate lectures when I was in school, when I was your age. And I'm conscious of the fact कि lectures बहुत boring होते हैं, actually में. होते नहीं होते? Yes, honest answer to an honest question from a soldier. So आज मैं lecture नहीं दूंगा आपको, कहानी सुनाऊंगा. I have a lot of slides by this young lady, Maisnam, who's my staff officer. बहुत मेहनत किया उसने slides बनाने का. Slide दिखाऊंगा, लेकिन बात दिल से करूंगा. It's a good deal? I can't hear you. Is it a good deal? No, I still can't hear you. Is it a good deal? Yeah, that's good. Let's get some energy into the talk. Let's get some, it's not a talk, it's an interaction. But before I proceed, मैं डॉक्टर पंसारी साहब का तहे दिल से धन्यवाद करता हूं और अभिनंदन करता हूं कि आपने मुझे ये ऑनर दिया, सौभाग्य दिया टू इंटरैक्ट विद द फ्यूचर ऑफ इंडिया. आई सी लॉट ऑफ सोल्जर्स अमंगस्ट यू और ईच वन ऑफ यू इन डिफरेंट फील्ड्स. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच पंसारी साहब. एंड आई एम ऑल्सो ग्रेटफुल टू द वाइस चांसलर Dr. Bodgohain, and your entire esteemed faculty and your administrators. For kids, आप लोगों को शायद ये पता नहीं होगा कि मेरा एसोसिएशन ये पहली बार नहीं है असम रॉयल ग्लोबल यूनिवर्सिटी से. 2022 सितंबर में यहाँ जब ट्रांसफ़र आया था, I had incidentally, one part you don't know about me is that I have commanded India's nuclear forces for 4 years. So it was a different world. So I came back to the real world here. And as a courtesy call, I came to visit Royal Global University because Royal Global University और Indian Army का बहुत पुराना ताल्लुकात है locally. Indian Army जब भी कोई event करता है तो Royal Global University under the able leadership of Dr. Pansari अपना दिल खोल देते हैं. And I was a witness to it, whether it's your accommodation, whether it's your ground. So, whether it's your ground. And तो मैं courtesy call किया. I met the VC, then I met Ankur Pansari, and he says, come, sir, why don't you come and meet my dad? I said, okay, I don't know him. I don't have prior appointment. He's a big man, but Ankur said, no, sir, he's my dad. You don't worry. You come along. So I went, he showed me around the school, and then I saw, first time I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Pansari. That was, I think, in October of 2022. And little did I realize that how fortunate you are to have him at the helm, where he has a heart of gold, and his mission in life is to empower India, to empower the youth. I'm sorry, this is not part of my script, it's coming out of my heart. And then I was trapped by the Vice Chancellor. So after everything going good, I was trapped. So they said, General, why don't you come? And because the moment he came to know about my, the specialized background on strategic managing in India's strategic assets and nuclear missiles, he says, why don't you come and meet our MBA students? So I went. I said, ठीक है, मिलेंगे, हाथ मिलाएंगे, फोटो खींचेंगे और चले आएंगे. यही होना था. So after a brief introduction, I was asked to say a few words. Those few words went into 25 minutes. I spoke whatever I had to speak. And then when I thought that I must say goodbye, the Vice Chancellor said, why don't you ask a few questions to the General? And that was real entertaining but a difficult ones because उस समय Russia-Ukraine war चरम सीमा पे था. And of course, I tried to answer to the best of my ability. But the end of it, it was not about me. It was about the impression that I carried about Royal Global University. And my impression was that this is an institution where academic brilliance and personality development go hand in hand. Most of the institutions focus only on academics. But here I found, and today, fast forward that, thereafter I've been visiting your university. Today I find that the Royal Global University and 4 decades of my Indian Army, there are a lot of similarity. Why do I say a lot of similarity? So, again, it's not part of my script. I was talking to Dr. Pansari just now, and I said, I like the uniform of the college, university. I said, the girls are very smartly dressed. So then Dr. Pansari says that this is part of our uniform. I said, this must be inculcating a sense of discipline. And he said, absolutely. And so, is army synonymous to discipline? Yes, no? I still can't hear you. Yeah, great. So, I find that in this hallowed precincts of Royal Global University, I think there is a tremendous focus, besides academics, on co-curricular activities. I think what I also like is what I borrow the phrase of our Honorable Prime Minister, where he says, let's de-westernize ourselves. Let's get back to the rich Indian traditions and culture. And I think that the entire ethos of Royal Global University here is embedded into the rich Indian culture and tradition. And I'm not saying just to please him or please you. No, you saw something on display yourself. I mean, action speaks louder than words. And here you saw. And I would like to compliment Akanksha Deka. I mean, that's why I wanted her name. Akanksha Deka, who's a B Pharma third semester student. I mean, she would give a run for the money to any Bollywood dancer. I mean, a big round of applause to her. It was simply phenomenal. And so I couldn't resist. And so, you know, I have a small medallion which I give whenever I am very happy. I used to do this in the army. I have introduced this into the corporate also. So with your permission, the medal is on its way. I hope it comes before the event. And I would like to present my appreciation medal to Akanksha Deka. And finally, before I start my interaction with you, I think, you know, we need to decolonize our minds. Please, it's a humble request. Even Indian Army comes from the British Indian Army, but we have taken a lot of efforts to decolonize ourselves. You would be reading, you know, whether it's insignia, whether it's the names, it's the, you know, you see the Indian Navy ensign was carrying the British ensign till as late as 4 years ago. But now, and so I think we should decolonize our minds, and you are the right people, the future of India. You can blaze your own trail, and I'm sure you can, and you will. Will you? You can and you will. Will you? Right. So I think now the heading of this talk, Battlefield to Boardroom. You know that I am a soldier, career soldier of over 4 decades. And a lot of leadership lessons I learned while I was in the army. And I will share some anecdotes with you which will tell you, and what Professor Burgoyne also said, life is not a bed of roses, and you will see from my own life story. Well, it sounds very good, very glamorous that today I am here. But what was the pathway? What was the pathway? What did I have to endure? What did I have to do? And it's not only me. There are many like me where life is a sine curve. Remember that life is a sine curve. And so there are a lot of lessons which I learned from my 4 decades of stint in the army. And I carried it forward to the boardroom. When I say boardroom, means in the corporate world. And believe you me, those lessons are holding me in good stead. So the leadership principles, the experiences, and the lessons learned are universal. You have to adapt. So my request is, while some of you may find that it's too much of an army-centric talk, I will try and avoid that. But I'll request you to draw relevant lessons from it and try and imbibe and implement in your own life. You've started a journey. You are Gen Z. You are into AI. ML is also passe now. You are into AI. Now you're talking of, we talked of virtual reality, augmented reality, and now we are into the world of extended reality, XR, right? You've heard of XR? No. So try and Google it. So the world is progressing fast, and you are the generation which will take us to the annals of history. You'll create history by making us a true superpower in the world. Next, please. Keep going, keep going. So this is what I'm trying to talk about. This is what I'm going to talk about. Next, please. Just read it. Take a minute to read it. The collapse of education is the collapse of nation. How many of you have read about Lord Macaulay's that famous note to his bosses in London, in which he wrote in about 1835, 1855, I don't remember the date, in which he says India is a very rich country, India is culturally very rich, science and technology, the traditional way of studies is very good, and the only way to conquer this country is to ensure the collapse of their own system. Now connected to what I said, decolonize your minds, right? So I think we need to focus, and you are fortunate. You're fortunate that you are lucky to be part of this great, brilliant academic institution where you will get quality education and you will also be supported in your personality development. Remember that this is the be-all and end-all of growth. And that's why I was sharing with your Vice Chancellor that I'm a career soldier and I got married to a family which was only academicians, only. And then I realized the true worth of academics. मैं सिर्फ class 10 pass हूँ. In my time, Dr. Pansari is worried, how is this illiterate guy coming to address all the brilliant academicians? In my time, you could join NDA after class 11. So the only board exam I have done under the Indian system is class 10. But I joined army thinking कि हमको पढ़ना नहीं पड़ेगा. मैं खेल कूद में बड़ा अच्छा था. And army, at every rank, every service, they put you through such rigorous academics that now I will rattle off my degrees. I am a BSc, I am a BTech Civil, I am an MSc, I am an MPhil, I am diploma in French, and I have diploma in I don't know how many management degrees. So, again I said it's not about me. Indian Army believes in the concept of scholar warriors. It feels that just running with a rifle and killing a terrorist is not good enough. You have to develop cerebral faculties. And so, again, it brings me back that academics is a very important part of your growth. Just remember that. Don't say that general came and he says, "Sirf extracurricular kar lo, masti kar lo, padhai ka zarurat nahi hai." No, it's wrong. It has to go hand in hand. And I'm giving you an example where at every stage of my life, I had to study. Sometimes I had to do a one-year course to get a particular degree, right? And so today I feel that I'm empowered by my experiences and by my academic support. So that's what you have to keep in mind. Next, please. Transition. While this slide talks of my transition, I'm going to relate to your transition. That photo, you talked of Sherwood College, on the extreme right is me with my parents and my brothers. Fast forward that, I went to the same school as chief guest last year. This is me and the previous Army Chief of Army Staff when I was commanding a division in Arunachal. The next photograph is in civis. And the next one again is with the present Army Chief, where the compere referred to an award by the President on 19th of July, so I had to put on uniform. So transition is a part of life. You all have transitioned from your school to the college. So you have to adapt. You have to actually adapt. You cannot carry your school baggage to the college. It's a different world. And the sooner you adapt, the better for you. But having said that, your good lessons learnt, your core values have to be carried forward, but don't carry your baggage. There is a very thin line between carrying your lessons learnt, experiences, and carrying your baggage. Baggage will pull you down. The lessons learnt will take you up. Just keep that in mind. And that's where I put the slide of transition. I also carried a few baggages with me, and I failed. And I failed. Believe you me, I failed. And then I had to recalibrate my whole system to succeed. It was not easy. And as I go along, I will tell you certain stories about my recalibration later. Next, please. Another transition, I think, is a familiar face. That's Secretary Par, my boss, and this is my interaction with the Parliamentary Committee. Now you see the range of activities I had to do from the time, I'll talk of the story when I was in the army, then I transitioned to the corporate world, renewable energy. It was absolutely new to me. I am good at killing terrorists, it's okay. That's what I was getting paid for it. I was not doing any favor. But here I had to provide energy security to the country. There I was providing physical security to the country. So it needed a transition. It definitely needed a transition. It needed a transition in my mind. It needed a physical transition. It needed me to carry the core values of leadership and motivation and success from the army. But what did I have to leave behind? What did I have to leave behind? Anybody? Baggage. Yes, baggage. Army is a very structured organization. I'll give you an example. Everything is cut and dried. In the outside world, you have to develop your tolerance for ambiguity. You have to learn to understand the situation and then adapt and take a decision. आर्मी में हमने जनरल ने हुक्म दे दिया, ब्रिगेडियर को दे दिया, नीचे दे दिया, and जवान will execute. You try this in the open outside world. Will it work? Will it work? It can't. It will not. It is not a structured organization. It's not. So it is like a fluid situation outside. So you have to be agile, and this is the example of I having had to leave the baggage. And I failed. Initially, in 1 month, I failed in my job as a head of the HR. Because I used some army principles, it failed. It didn't work. And then I took some lessons and I asked the experts and I came back and then I could revise the whole system. And today, yes, I can say that NIPCO is on a path of success. Yes, it is. But this is an example from my own life. Next, please. While I have given you my example, I wanted to focus on the center part, crossing the chasm. You've come from school, from different backgrounds, different parts of East and India, and you have an aspiration. Somebody wants to be a pharmacist, somebody wants to be an engineer, somebody wants to be a doctor, somebody wants to be a civil servant, somebody wants to be an artist, somebody wants to be a musician. But crossing the chasm is not easy. And this is where I borrow the words of your Vice Chancellor. It's not easy. It's not easy. This chasm is difficult. It's big. But don't get overawed by the chasm because you need resources, skill sets, and tools to help you navigate this chasm. And that's why you're here today. That's why, exactly why you're here today. Because at the end of your academic curriculum here, you will feel empowered yourself. Nobody has to say, but you will feel empowered yourself that now I have the ability and the capability. These are two different things. Ability and the capability to navigate the chasm and strike gold wherever I want to do. Am I making sense? Am I boring? Boring. Boring. Say so. Be open. Boring. Okay, I'll come on to some more interesting. They want to hear about my failures. I will come to that. I will give you stark examples of my failures. Next, please. I said I have developed skill sets. This is a photograph, this story I must tell you. You've heard that on the news that China is doing salami slicing and taking away our territory. Right? You've heard this? Oh, ladai, gutsam, idhar le liya zameen, Galwan happened, Doklam happened, this happened, that happened. Incidentally for you, I have commanded the Doklam Brigade. And I've also, that is the Western Tri-Junction, and I have commanded the Eastern Tri-Junction as a division commander, as a general, in Tawang. So I have a fair understanding of the Chinese mindset. So when I went to Tawang, I found that there was an area which was being patrolled by the Chinese 2.5 kilometers into Indian territory, what I felt was Indian territory, and what Chinese were claiming as Chinese territory. So this is where my academics helped me. I'm giving an example. So I read a lot of Chinese history, part of my profession. And there I came across a letter from the then Premier Chou En-lai of China to the then Prime Minister of India, in which, you can Google this at the end of it, it's called the Line of Actual Control 1959. Why? Because the letter was written in 1959. And that was the time when the Tibet problem was at its peak. And I'll tell you a little later about His Holiness Dalai Lama as to how he came into India. And so what he wrote was, entire Aksai Chin, Ladakh side, is China. Entire Arunachal is southern Tibet, which is claiming today. But there was one portion west of Tawang called Khinze Mane, which by Chinese own admission was India. Right? You Google this, you will find this very interesting piece of history. And so, I knew this. But after 62 debacle, we had unilaterally come down saying, why do you want to do anything with the Chinese? Having been in London for 3 years, I did only one thing. Invested my time with the Chinese embassy, trying to understand what these guys are. And then I realized that they respect history. They feel they are a middle kingdom. Those of you who are students of history. And so I said, this is a golden opportunity. I went there and I saw that that was the place where I wanted to go on Thagla Ridge. The battle between India and China started on Thagla Ridge, west of Tawang, ahead of Tawang. And I was the division commander responsible for safeguarding 50 kilometers of Indian territory. It was March of 2018 when I took a decision. And I said, we will go forward. Of course, with all your military acumen, everything. We did it. Next, we have a photograph later. So you can see only the flag post, but on top is the national flag. And this is that 2.5 kilometers into the perceived Chinese territory. That's me with the hat. It was raining heavily. On the pole, the right side. You can barely make out. So, it was a huge reaction by the Chinese. And there were a lot of problems. 11 sets of flag meetings. And finally, my knowledge of history came to my rescue because I flipped that letter out and the map. And I said, you believe that, history should be respected. This is it. They backed off. On that place, Khinze Mane, today, a gift exchange takes place where there used to be fights and we were 2.5 kilometers inside. This is the only portion in India where we have reclaimed territory from China. Because I have been in Ladakh, I have been in Sikkim, I have been here. And this is the only place where we have reclaimed 2.5 kilometers. And the importance of this place is that His Holiness Dalai Lama, when he was leaving Potala Palace from Tibet, on 30th of March 1959, he was received on the Indian soil at this very point. At this very point, and so it has a lot of religious and political significance. And so that is the importance of your knowledge, academics, and of course, decision making is part of the game. So this is one example I'm giving you, that your academics, your historical knowledge, your perspectives will help you take decisions. So you can create, so you will say, sir, so what is it for me? You're tom-tomming about your success. No. You can create many Khinzamanes all across India. Figuratively speaking, you can create many such success stories for yourself and for the country. And I'm very confident that the example that I gave you should get embedded in your mind, that when you challenge the status quo, you will start, it's like a Lego set, you'll start dismantling it, and then you'll find that there is a solution, and when you reassemble it, you'll find you've struck gold like Neeraj Chopra in the previous Olympics, or Manu Bhaker like in the current Olympics. Am I making sense? Yeah, this one is a slide which I think all your books talk of all these things. All your books. I don't want to be theoretical. Lead by example. You should have authenticity in what you say. You walk the talk. What you say, you must stand by it. If you don't walk the talk and if you don't lead by example, you as future leaders will not be successful. I'm telling you frankly. So authenticity is the name of the game. Integrity, discipline I talked about, ethics, accountability. I don't think these are no-brainers. Any good citizen of the country should have this. Encouraging professional dissent. You all are future leaders of the country. I see a lot of future leaders in the country, or maybe all of you. Remember one thing, never follow the dictum, it's my way or highway. A lot of us make this mistake, it's my way or highway. That means only my writ should prevail, my understanding should prevail. No, a negative. No. You have to accept professional dissent so that you can make a considered good decision to be successful. I have followed this. I have never failed as far as this is concerned. I have encouraged professional dissent. Decision making under pressure, this is the example where the whole world was saying, you will go to war with China. A similar thing happened in 1967, and there was a war at Nathula Chola, literally. Very few of you may be aware that India had a skirmish in Sikkim sector, Nathula Chola, in 1967. Of course, we gave the Chinese a bloody nose. But here, I was under a lot of pressure. I didn't want a situation like that. But by way of collaborative decision making, it was not me. There were some young captains who helped me achieve this wonderful strategic objective. And so, decision making under pressure, don't buckle. Make your mind strong. Train yourself. They say yoga. People say younger generation, yoga kya karna hai, usme to pasina bhi nahi nikalta hai. I'm telling you frankly that yoga helps you train your mind, not only body, it helps train your mind. And if your mind is trained, you'll be able to take decision under pressure. Collaborative decision, I told you, it's a no-brainer. Again, with the same example, so many times this happened in my life where the same thing when I was wondering how to do it. So there was all brigadiers, whatever I said, they would say, yes, sir. Whatever I said, yes, sir. I said, no, I'm not making sense. So the young captain who got up and said, sir, no, sir, this is not the way to do it. This is the way. I will not take much time, but he gave me an alternate approach to achieving the same thing. And believe you me, I adopted that and I succeeded. Because he was not part of the group thinking. Others were saying yes because the boss was saying yes. That captain got up and said, no, sir, I don't agree with you. and he gave me a way. I adopted it, and today it's history. In fact, then Defense Minister Madam Nirmala Sitharaman came, and she said, "We need such bold commanders." I straight away said, "No, ma'am, it's not me, it's this young captain. It's this young captain." So what is the lesson? Give credit to your juniors. Give credit where it belongs. Lot of us make this mistake, maine kar diya. The I, me, myself syndrome. No, it has to be totally taken away from your system. And so what happened? Did I become small? No, I became taller. I became taller. And so this is what the defense minister then said, "General, I'm really happy that you gave credit to this young captain." And this is all documented. Challenging the status quo, I have told you, I mean, if you don't, I don't think you are going to proceed ahead in life. Just challenge. Challenge what is being told to you. Challenge what are your beliefs. First, challenging the status quo, your own ingrained beliefs, which you think is right, but no, I don't think so. At the end of challenging, you may come back to the conclusion that yes, my belief was right, but that will reinforce your belief in your own belief that yes, I was right because of the following reasons. So there has to be a logic to why you are doing or behaving in a particular manner. Crisis management, problem solving, I think there are enough examples. I will not bore you with that. Strategic planning and execution. Again, I think it's a self-explanatory. Your teachers will teach you enough on this. Resilience and persistence. If you develop resilience and persistence in your approach in achieving your goal, you have a mission, you have a vision, you have a mission. I want to become an IS officer. I want to become a fighter pilot. I want to become a paratrooper like me. So there is a vision, there is a mission. Now, while doing so, you may fail. You may fail in the exam first time. You may fail in the interview the second time. But if you have resilience and persistence, you will achieve your aim. So don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. I've had many failures. I mean, many failures. And I'll talk about it in the next slide. Next, please. So this photograph is of Khinzemane before peace and tranquility happened. On the right side, you see the Chinese. On the left side, you see a Khalsa, Sardarji. That's obviously Indian. And the Indian flag. This was before the flag post and all came up. And the Chinese actually, were kind of badgering us. So my Khalsa ji adapted. And he was talking in Punjabi, and they were talking in Chinese, but surprisingly, they understood each other. My Khalsa wouldn't know English, the Chinese wouldn't know Punjabi, and so Khalsa tried to tell them कि यार तनु मैं दसदा यार ठंड रख और वो कुछ Chinese में बोला, and finally 700 Chinese came and there were only 10 of my guys. So this Khalsa and one more young soldier, I forget his name, he tried to tell them, oh yaar, utte president, itte prime minister, apa dost hai yaar. Because he knew that he can't tackle 700. There were just 10. They'll be overpowered. So at the end of it, he managed to convince, कहता तेरा officer कौन है? आया, वो young captain came. He saluted the Chinese guy and he said, साहब जी कोई फायदा नहीं है लड़ाई करने का. He was waiting for the reinforcements to come. He was smart. He adapted. Look at this resilience and adaptation of this guy. And finally, reinforcements came. Chinese backed off. Yeah, they backed off. And I quoted this example to the Chief of Naval Staff who was visiting me, Admiral Dhawan. He couldn't believe it, so I told them. So what did Khalsa tells him is, he says, how did you manage to salvage this situation? अभी उसको क्या पता adaptability क्या है, quick thinking क्या है, strategic decision making. कहते साहब जी, ते गांव में जितनी अंग्रेजी पढ़ी थी सारी उड़ेल दी, लेकिन चीनियों को कुछ लाभ नहीं, समझ में नहीं आया. तो मैं कहा साहब उन्होंने कुछ कुछ बोला हु हा चूं चा, तो हमने कहा तुमने क्या किया? कहता हमने उनके कप्तान को सैल्यूट मारा, कहते जय हिंद साहब जी. So you see, he used his tact, he used his brain to thwart a very, very unpleasant situation. And this was in the beginning. While I talked to you about the success where Madam Nirmala Sitharaman told me, well done, this is where it started. Right? So many examples come out of this, many, many lessons. Adaptability, your mission and vision. That means down to my last guy knew that my general wants Indian flag here at all cost. Saam, Dam, Dand, Bhed se mujhe India ka jhanda yahan fehrana hai. So the intent was clear. He was adaptable. He used his tact. There was strategic decision making. There was professional dissent which I accepted. There was strategic decision making on my part and my senior hierarchy. And at the end of it, we achieved this aim. And today, India sits proudly on Thagla Ridge. We are the only place where India has gained territory. So that's it. So whatever slide I told you in one example, in one life example, I mean, have you understood what I'm trying to say? It was just not me. It was the Sardar, and his Sardar's name I still remember is Subedar Harcharan Singh. I can never forget the name. Subedar Harcharan Singh. So this is it. So there are many Harcharan Singhs, there are many captains, there are many Jhas like in this audience is what I want to tell you this. Next, please. Next, hold on. Risk-taking ability. Again, this is an example. I took a very big risk, but it was a calculated risk. I was prepared for a confrontation with the Chinese. But had I not taken this risk, this glory, this strategic, victory over China would have never come. Everywhere you're saying China territory le raha hai, ye kar raha, but here we are sitting like Shah Rukh Khan कहता मैं हूं ना, हम बोला हम Shah Rukh Khan है, हम ऐसा करके बोला मैं हूं ना. You know which movie? मैं हूं ना. Yeah. Failures. Yeah. This is the part I like most. So, like any other professional soldier, I was also doing very well. And then I was picked up to command one of the finest engineer regiments. I'm a civil engineer. One of the finest engineer regiments of Indian Army. तो मैंने सोचा शाहरुख खान तो मैं हुई, आ गए. Within 3 months, I had my boss's boss, a Lieutenant General Aditya Singh, visiting me. I have no qualms in telling names because it's an actual story. I had worked really hard, for a visit. Let's say if the Honorable Cabinet Minister comes here or the Prime Minister, I'm sure, Pransari Sahib, we work to the best of our ability to showcase RGU, right? So did I in my smaller scale at the unit level. It started like this. He says, you are useless. He says, somebody has made the mistake of making you a full colonel and then had made a bigger mistake of giving you command of the unit. I thought maybe shuru ki baat hai, 3 ghante ki visit thi, chalega. Then I showed him my military drills, procedures. I showed him my administrative procedures. I showed him my battle drills. And finally, he went back and put it down on paper that this engineer regiment under the command of Colonel R.K. Jha is unfit for war in the present state. Let me explain to you the idea of unfit for war. The last unit which was declared unfit for war is 1971, when you have failed your country. इससे बड़ा slap और humiliation किसी career soldier को नहीं हो सकता. I had 2 options. And the team came from Army headquarters. They saw what was wrong. Something was partially wrong. Something was perception driven. I had 2 options. Either to quit or to fight. For 2 days, I didn't know what hit me. Then I got my team together. Again, collaborative decision making. I said, guys, what do we do? He says, sir, we are capable, we can fight. And we worked our way up. There were problems in that unit. And so we addressed all those issues. And the same general came back and he says, "You are the finest unit in Indian Army." And look from where it came. When you're declared unfit for war, you're taken out of the list of units of the Indian Army, that if Indian Army went to war that time, I would be sitting out of the war. That's the biggest insult a soldier can get. You're getting my point? From there, because of the perseverance and resilience, we worked up, and then I'll give you one statistics. This unit was not mine. I was not lucky to get my own unit, but since I was the perceived Shah Rukh Khan of my batch, I was handpicked, catapulted in the unit that I will take this unit to the next level. And where did I take this unit? To the abyss. I did that. There were my own flaws in that, but I didn't give up. I did not give up. And so, when I took over the unit was 40 years old from its raising, 1972, and it had 20 awards, 20 awards on the board. That means for every 2 years, the unit had one award. But because of this team building and the way we fought, I handed over the unit in June of 2006. That means the unit was 42 and a half years old. And the total award tally serial number read 65. 65. That means in 2.5 years, we got 45 awards. How did that happen? It was not me alone, it was my team. I carried everybody along. Everybody was motivated, everybody has self-belief, everybody had a vision, a common aim, and this is again history. And I'm being called, I get called to the army training institutions to give this example as a case study as to how did it happen. It's a detailed kind of a case study. So why I share this example with you is, don't get bogged down by failures. There'll be many failures in life, many. Maths में सिर्फ 40 आ गया. आजकल तो वैसे बड़ा अजीब है पेरेंट्स का. When the child gets 95, they don't say well done, कहते उस 5 नंबर का क्या हुआ. ये है ना प्रॉब्लम. मम्मी पापा बोलते हैं ऐसे, हाँ? अरे हमको 98 आया यार, कहते वो 2 नंबर कहाँ गए. अरे छोड़ दो मम्मी पापा, छोड़ दो 2 नंबर यार. Right? So there'll be many failures. This is not a failure, but this was a major failure. But by resilience, by perseverance, you can actually bounce back and bounce back higher. आपके जनरेशन में नहीं है. हम लोग जब छोटे थे पंसारी साहब, एक बॉल आती थी रबर की, क्रेजी बॉल. सुना है नाम ये, क्रेजी बॉल? क्रेजी बॉल को जब आप ऐसे छोड़ेंगे, वो बाउंस करता है, इसका एम्पलीट्यूड बढ़ता जाता है अपने आप. So this is it. When you bounce back from failure, you should be like a crazy ball. You should keep bouncing high. You should keep bouncing up and up and up again. And so, I think sky's the limit for you then. Next, please. Invest in relationship. Here you are from diverse background. Your biggest takeaway other than your academics and co-curricular activities is making friends. Invest in genuine relationship. Today, I mean, it's an example. Why I am here is because of my personal relationship with your esteemed Chancellor, Dr. Pansari. Simple. I have another friend here. He's just come, the boss man of Radisson. It's because we have a personal relationship. Genuine personal relationship is actually going to give, am I right? Investing in genuine personal relationships actually give you that traction, that runway, that platform, that should you need any help, any assistance in any walk of life, anytime, your genuine relationships will come in handy. It has proved good to me time and again, whether in professional life or personal life. So please do that. And here you see, why I showed you this range of photographs is, because my friends, starting from this photograph of Khenze Mane, to my women power of the Indian Army, you see all commanding officers of women. Here are the school girls from very underprivileged part of Dibrugarh, Bokuloni. I was just there yesterday. I think this photograph is of yesterday. And here is the people of Nagaland. Here I am playing sports, not with the army, but with NIPCO people. I introduced this sporting culture there. So you look at the diverse relationship I have built. And each one of these relationships is my strength. So you have a golden opportunity. There are so many of you in this university, senior, junior, peers, your teachers, your professors. Please invest in your relationship. Next. I think this is self-explanatory. Just walk the talk. Simple. Just walk the talk. Just walk the talk. A lot of people talk of girl empowerment, gender equality. It's a fashionable term. Me and my wife actually believe in this. And on the left is the photograph of my two daughters from Arunachal, Rinchen and Tenzin. When they came into our life, one could speak only in Tibetan and one only Mompa. Today they speak better English than me. Today they play football at the Delhi district level. Here, these girls, after winning a championship of the Indian Army Public School there. Right? And what is interesting is this photograph. This is a lady, this is a gentleman. Who do you think is senior in this photograph? By body language. Lady has a cane in her hand, and there is this gentleman trying to figure out what this lady is saying. Right? No brainer? Lady is the boss. But if you believe in genuine gender equality, the gentleman on the right is yours truly, who is her boss's boss's boss. 3 levels. This is Colonel Bindu Sharma. She still serves in Narangi Camp. But I felt that the women officers who were just made commanding officers recently, just 1 year ago, if they are not given a good hearing, if I don't genuinely believe and showcase this, how will my juniors follow it? And so, somebody took this photograph, I don't know, it is not an orchestrated photo, you see. She's saying something, and the body language is clear. So I don't have to prove that I believe in gender equality. Right, madam? This photograph, all the ladies I'll ask, the girls, right? So this photo speaks for itself. And so, you please walk the talk. ये नहीं कि सिर्फ लेक्चर में आके ज्ञान दे के चले गए, ज्ञान नहीं देना है, करना है, करना है. Let others say that this person, ये जो बोलता है या बोलती है वो करता है. Stands by his or her own words. Right? Next, please. I will not talk of anything else, but I will talk of unlearning and repackaging. Unlearning is a process. All good speakers, motivational speakers. I am no motivational guru. I am just like one of you, a middle-class kid who worked his way up in life. I'm telling you very honestly. But I never hesitated in unlearning. 3rd of October, right? 3rd of October, I had just joined NIPCO. I was called by the Honorable Power Minister Shri R.K. Singh ji then. और स्वच्छता दिवस था. हमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा था. आर्मी से ये बड़ा अजीब सा ये सिस्टम था. तो हम ठीक है, we were all doing cleaning the area. So there was this chairman of Power Grid, Mr. Shrikant. मैंने कहा सर, I feel like a fish out of water. हमें नहीं ठीक लग रहा है, हम गलत कर दिया मैंने ये करके. मैं सोल्जर आदमी हूँ, आतंकवादी लाइए मारेंगे, कहीं पे जाके मैनेजमेंट का ये लेक्चर दे देंगे, ये हमसे नहीं हो रहा सर. He said, General, come, let's have a cup of tea. हमने पता नहीं क्या ज्ञान देगा. कहता, one word, General, unlearn and drop your baggages. Believe you me, each one of us has to unlearn and repackage. आप सभी को भी, आप जो बच्चे आए हैं, you all have certain baggages with you. I talked about it yesterday. But unlearning is a process. You open yourself to criticism, challenge the status quo, let others criticize you, you adapt. All these principles that we've been talking about, it will open you up like a Lego set opening up. Once you've unlearned, a good example is the Lego set. and then you repackage yourself with a nice building, a nice aircraft, and that aircraft will fly. Believe you me, you have to learn to unlearn. The last two bullets, I have already spoken about others. Communication style is not Angrezi. हमको बहुत अंग्रेजी आता है. Yet General Jha studied in Sherwood College, very flamboyant guy. Negative. It doesn't work. It does not work. It is not the language but your style of communication that matters. मैंने आपको पंजाबी में बोला. My troops, I come from a unit which are only Sikh. अगर वहाँ अंग्रेजी में बोल देता, फेल हो जाता. मैं कहा, मुड़ियो, चलो. सर ये गेमा वाला मुंडा है, तगड़ा बंदा है. Right? Assamese, Nagamese, doesn't matter. Your communication style is not that much from your vocal, but from your body language. आप समझ रहे मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ? Your body language. You have to be, your body language has not to be intimidating, but friendly. नहीं आता अंग्रेजी कोई बात नहीं. मैंने अपनी दोनों बेटियों का एग्जाम्पल दिया. एक को सिर्फ टिबेटन आता था, एक को सिर्फ मोम्बा आता था. It's not about which language you speak. It is how your body speaks the language. Am I making sense? बोर हो गए तुम? अरे सच तो बोल दो. बोर हुआ नहीं हुआ? नहीं हुआ. Right? हाँ, good. Good. You are like me, calling a spade a spade. The last one. Eliminate your false ego. मैं टॉपर हूं, मैं जनरल हूं, मैं मंत्री हूं, मैं संतरी हूं. हाँ, संतरी हूं ना. So, all of us make this mistake of a positive ego which is bordering on self-respect and a false ego which is bordering on arrogance. This is a thin line. And this, over a period of time, this is where your education helps you. Education here will help you. Always differentiate between this self-respect and positive ego and arrogance and false ego. Lee Iacocca, who turned the Ford Motors around during the Great Depression, his biography says, I have read this 4 times. I mean, those of you who've not, just Google this name, Lee Iacocca. He was a phenomenal engineer administrator. Ford Motors was in trouble during the 1930s depression in the United States. He's written a biography. उसमें एक लाइन है, वो बोलता है, false ego is the biggest destroyer. Believe me. And you ask anyone, these esteemed people sitting here, am I right? A false ego is the biggest destroyer because that is bordering on arrogance. Arrogance will take you down. Right? Next, please. Yeah, it's a time to reflect. I mean, you have to reflect. You're running very hard. मैं तो बस अभी फर्स्ट आ ही जाऊंगा. नहीं. Take a step back. See what is happening around you. It's not just you. It's your ecosystem, what's happening in your ecosystem, right? So please take a moment, wherever you are, whichever stage, whichever profession, whichever subject you are doing, pause, reflect. Reflection helps. And this is where I said yoga. I am no great fan of yoga, but I believe in this, that it helps you to mentally stimulate yourself. If you reflect, your mental stimulation is a natural corollary to reflection. Remember that. Next, please. This is what your Vice Chancellor said. This graph is what you were referring to, right? Hard work and success. Is it like this? Never. Never. Problem, challenge, failure, go up, failure again, obstacle. But if you persevere, you will be like a crazy ball. Don't become crazy, but like a crazy ball whose success amplitude will keep going up. I can see some acknowledgement from my friend here. So this is it. I'm sure you also, everybody has, all of us, the successful people here, sir, with your due respect, Have you ever had full success? Never, sir. No way. It cannot be. It's not possible. It's humanly impossible. So this is it. Just keep that in mind. So there is a challenge of reality and expectation, academics versus professional life. Just because you're a topper of your class and you've got a good placement doesn't mean you'll be successful at your work. Please believe me. Your marks have nothing to do with your success. It gives you an initial toehold, and that's it. And so there is a challenge between reality and expectations, and that's why intentionally I put this, because I'm talking to this future of India, academics versus professional life. Tune yourself into this reality. Start your mental strengthening of this aspect from now. Next, please. I think you're all aware of IQ, EQ, and social quotient. I don't know how many of you have heard about adversity quotient. So there is a terminology, I came across this as adversity quotient. It's simple. There's no English. What is your resilience, mental and physical, in times of crisis and adversity? Simple. IQ पता है आपको, EQ पता है, social quotient पता है कितनी दोस्ती है, but adversity quotient is what we need to develop, inculcate, train our minds, train ourselves into developing this adversity quotient. And if you have a high adversity quotient, you will bounce back. You will bounce back. Next, please. I referred to this about building into genuine relationships. Surround yourself with people whom you like, who you think are good, who could be your role models. So choose wisely. Choose wisely. Please choose wisely. Next, please. I think this is the last slide I will talk about tappers and listeners, and this is about understanding. You know, we feel that we know the world. But the problem is, every failure comes because of lack of understanding. And I thought understanding क्या हमको समझ में आता, understanding. So I had visited a NATO institute in London when I was there, and I came across a doctrine called understanding. हमने कहा अंग्रेजों के चोचले हैं, कुछ भी लिख देता है, हमको दे देता है, इंडियन को पढ़ लो. फेंक दिया मैंने. When I came back to India, I carried that booklet. And you can Google this. In fact, I would recommend, while it's a military-centric thing, this doctrine of understanding by the United Kingdom Defense and Doctrine Department, it's open source literature. And then when I read that you can actually develop the art of understanding. It's like an open architecture. You can develop the art of understanding. So I talk of 3 types of understanding. Individual understanding, that means हमारी जो beliefs हैं, हमको जो मेरा जो experience है, उसके तहत मैं एक situation को कैसे समझता हूँ. एक है collective understanding, मैं भी हूँ, आप भी मेरे टीम में हैं, आप भी मेरे टीम में हैं, हमारा collective understanding क्या है. एक है common understanding, ये एक टीम है, ये एक टीम है, ये एक टीम है, इनकी collective understanding है, इनकी collective understanding, इनकी क्या है, इन तीनों का मिश्रण क्या है. What is the common understanding? If you develop all these 3, you will not go wrong. You will not go wrong. And the last example I want to give you is on tappers and listeners. I was reading somewhere. There was an experiment किया Stanford University में एक प्रोफेसर ने, जिसमें उन्होंने क्या किया, 2 टीम में लोगों को बांटा. एक बोला कि एक टीम को बोला 25 लोगों को कि आप कोई भी जो पॉपुलर धुन है, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, जिंगल बेल्स, जो कि सबको पता है, ऐसे होता ना बजाते हैं, तो वो ट्यून बजाया 25 लोग, और 25 लोग को बोला सुनने को. और ये 25 लोग जो बजा रहे थे ट्यून, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, जिंगल बेल, ऑल दैट, बोला कि यू गेस द प्रोबेबिलिटी, आप बताइए कि कितने लोग हैं उस 25 में से ये इसको बता पाएंगे सही. तो ये जो टीम थी, टीम ए, टैपर्स, उन्होंने बोला कम से कम 1 in 2, that means 50% of the people will be able to guess it. जिंगल बेल, अगर मैं बजा रहा हूं तो मुझे पता है जिंगल बेल। और इंटरेस्टिंगली तो जब वो उधर गए लिसनर्स से, तो आउट ऑफ 25 only 3 could predict, and repeatedly only 3 or 4 could predict. That means ये 50% बोल रहा है, वो 2.5% बोल रहा है। ठीक? नाउ ये तो एक टास्क था, मैं जो बोल रहा हूं आप प्रिडिक्ट कीजिए। इसी प्रकार ये लाइफ में ऐसे होता है, हम किसी को अपने अंडरस्टैंडिंग से, अपने समझ से हमने आपको बताया कि ये टास्क करके आ जाइए। इन माई माइंड I think I have explained everything to that person. That person fails, you blame that person, and you tap again. आप समझ रहे हैं? वो फिर फेल हो जाता है। तीसरी बार क्या हो? तीसरी बार फेल, चौथी बार वो फेल क्यों हो रहा है? फेल इसलिए हो रहा है, फेल इसलिए हो रहा है कि आपकी समझ में और उसकी समझ में फर्क है। You were not explicit in giving directions. You as future leaders guard against this tappers and listeners syndrome. Right? I will leave this paper, it's very interesting, and I will leave this piece of paper here. Ji? Yeah, exactly. It's for the teachers, yeah. So this tappers and listeners syndrome, this happened in Stanford in 1990. I found this very interesting. And so, I think it's very important for us to realize as to हम बोल क्या रहे हैं, वो समझ क्या रहा है. Right? Wrong? Okay, next please. I have failed totally in this. Don't make this mistake. That's my daughter on a motorcycle, elder daughter. This is my family photograph when these girls came. And after I retired, I bought an old army gypsy and I modified it thinking, now is the time, after finishing all the work, mark my words, I said, after finishing all the work, now the time for me to enjoy. I bought a Meteor 350, maroon color, because I like my maroon beret. I modified the gypsy. Abhi bhi, Ankur, if you want, I can send it across to you. But what happened? Gypsy khali, motorcycle khali. आप मुझे successful बोलते हैं. I consider myself a failure. Why? Because I failed in my work-life balance. I'm trying to make amends, but I keep this in all business schools I go. I go to various business schools for talks, but this you'll agree, all of us make this mistake. Even as a student, we make this mistake. माँ ने बोला बेटा थोड़ा आ जाओ किचन में. नहीं माँ मेरे एग्जाम है, बहुत है, दोस्तों के साथ जाना. अरे यार माँ को भी टाइम दे दो यार, थोड़ा थोड़ा अपने आप को समय दे दो. Yes, no? Right? So the work-life balance, whether as a student, as a professional, as a retired guy, you have to have. And I admit with both hands that I have failed. I'm still trying to learn. Yeah, and so the last lesson is never too late to learn and make amends. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for having taken a lot of your time, but I thought. So if there are any questions, I am open to it. Or I think it's been too boring. I've taken almost 1 hour, 15 minutes, so don't ask questions to a boring guy. Okay, any question? Any question?
There's a raised hand.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, go ahead. Start small. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Start small. That means, अगर आप 10 बजे सो के उठते हो और माँ चिल्ला रही है कि उठो उठो उठो, 10 की जगह 9 बजे उठना शुरू कर दो यार. Right? I'm not telling you to get up at 6, you'll die. If you get up, this generation, if it gets up at 6, and if we get up at 10, we'll die. And I see my daughters in my house. सैटरडे है, माँ छोड़ दो, 2 बजे उठेंगे. क्यों भाई? और 2 बजे ब्रेकफास्ट खाएंगे आप. हाँ, लंच आप खाएंगे 7 बजे, डिनर जोमेटो पे 2 बजे आएगा. यस, स्टोरी ऑफ एवरी हाउस. And I have 3 generations of children. My son is 32, my elder daughter is 22, and my two younger ones are 11. So I have a great experience of the generational change from Maki Roti to Zomato. And now it's Blinkit. 5 minutes, Coke. My advice to you, son, is, first of all, you say, which are my priority areas? Priority areas are your studies at this stage, your health, so some exercise, and spending time with your near and dear ones. ठीक? इसको आप अपोर्शन कर दो टाइम. पढ़ाई के लिए इतना, गेम्स के लिए इतना, फ्रेंड्स के लिए इतना, मम्मी पापा दीदी भाई जो है उसके लिए इतना. You'll come across some hours, बाकी is your time. उसमें minimum sleep you require is say 7 hours. You give yourself 10 hours, 11 दे दो. You'll find that moment you apportion. Now you say कि no, for me priority is मम्मी से बात करना. अभी 2 बजे तो मम्मी को उठा के नहीं बोलेगा ना, मम्मी अभी बात करना है, ले गई एक तेरे को, And so you will fix it. मम्मी डिनर के बाद मम्मी के बेडरूम में चले गए हम. Half an hour I want to speak with mom and dad. It'll be around 9:30, 10. That is fixed. Your college is fixed. ठीक है. I'm not telling you different. College is fixed. खाना का तो तुम्हारा टाइम हो ही नहीं सकता है. This generation, no way. जब तक Zomato नहीं है तब तक खाना का टाइमिंग नहीं हो सकता है. Right? And then खेलोगे फ्रेंड्स के साथ 4 बजे सवेरे. हाँ, आजकल तो वीडियो गेम खेलते हैं वो ऑनलाइन. But if you fix certain key critical areas of your life, you will find a schedule automatically happens. Have I answered your question? There was one more there, yeah.
So, audible, na? So,
Very audible like me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sir, basically you belong from a...
I like it. I like it.
आप belong करते हो आर्मी से सर. सर आपने आर्मी के लिए इतना सारा योगदान दिया है सर. बेसिकली आपका क्या ओपिनियन है सर अग्निवीर स्कीम में सर? सर बेसिकली अगर हम लोग बोलना चाहे सर, बेसिकली जो अग्निवीर से सर रेकमेंड होते हैं सर, उनको तो प्रॉपर सर पेंशन नहीं मिलता है अगर सर शहीद होते हैं सर. सर एज यू हैव डन मेनी वर्क्स फॉर द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द कंट्री इंडिया सर, यू हैव सेड दैट सर यू हैव डन इन लद्दाख में आपने सर डेवलपमेंट के लिए काम किया है सर. सो व्हाट यू हैव डिड फॉर द अग्निवीर सर? बेसिकली my question is that very simple.
Firstly, I always, whenever I come to the Royal Global University, whether it was in October of 22 or of August of 24, the questions are always difficult. That time the question was, why is India not taking sides in Russia-Ukraine war? I mean, those kids would have graduated, your MBA class. Agniveer, I think it's a long story, but the short answer is that we needed a youthful army. Army was struggling with fitness levels and youth, right? So firstly, I'll tell you why Agniveer. So as a pilot project, it was introduced and then it was introduced across the army. However, having said that, reviews are being taken on the terms and conditions of Agniveer as to how to utilize them, and then they should not be as a use and throw. So how you help them transition from the military life to the civil life, right? So as we speak, initially the plan was to retain only 25%. This review is already going on, and while sadly it's become a political issue, it should not be discussed in open domain because it's a matter of national security. People inimical to our country will exploit this and try and get into the minds of our soldiers, which is the most detrimental thing. So what all of us can do is, even if you have a particular opinion about it, do not voice it publicly. But since you've asked me this question, I personally feel that this allows the army to be youthful. Just to give you an idea, in a battalion which is getting deployed, say at Bumla here in Tawang, anybody who has a high blood pressure or a low medical category cannot be deployed. And over a period of time, when people get old, you get diabetes, you get blood pressure, you have some problems in your knee, etc. That problem was plaguing us for some time. And when we analyzed it, we felt that we should have a youthful army, more younger, right? And so this is as far as why Agniveer came in. As regards the terms and conditions, the government is continuously reworking, reviewing. You would have heard that the UP government, the MP government, all the corporates, the private sector, I'm sure you, me, everybody has openly said that we will employ Agniveer. Even Royal Global University will do well to employ certain Agniveers because they are well-trained, highly motivated people. And I think it's a good experiment. There'll always be two sides to a coin. I'm a soldier, I'll give you honest answer. There'll always be two sides to a coin, right? There's nothing right, nothing wrong. But in the present circumstances, we are wanting a youthful army. It's working fine. Terms and conditions, yes. You hear some things on the television, which is not entirely true. Let me tell you that. And the terms and conditions, after all, they are our citizens, our boys. We can't be discarded. So they're getting into paramilitary forces. The corporates, we will take in. The private sector has come up in front because after all, rather than taking a fully untrained guy at that level, I would rather get a trained person, right? Right, but my only request is, whatever your opinion, do not voice it publicly. It is detrimental to the national security. Any other question?
I think we will.
Thank you.